Today we're going to compare the 120R mechanically self-leveling loader, it's brand new, to the 120R loader that's been out for several years. Both of these fit the Deere 1 Series and the 2025R. Let's get started. We think this is a pretty major announcement. I believe this is the only self-leveling loader available in the USA, at least, for a subcompact tractor of any brand. In later episodes, we're going to look at the loader lift capacity. We're also going to look at the loader in action, both with a bucket, with forks. We're going to move some dirt with it. Maybe we'll try to use a grapple a little bit with it, just to kind of get a feel for how it actually works. In this episode, we're going to talk about the cost, the availability, and the physical differences in the loader. Now, I do have two different size buckets on these loaders right now. This is the 57-inch bucket off of our 2038R. It's not standard on this loader. This is a 53. If I'd had two identical ones, they'd have both been the same, but for this episode, just to have them sitting here, I put the larger bucket on. When we do the lift capacity testing, we'll use the same bucket on each one. Both of these loaders say 120R on the side. The signage doesn't show up any difference, but it's easy to tell which one is the mechanically self-leveling loader. I'm going to call it MSL from now on. This bar right up here on top. Anytime you see two bars here and the triangle area here and this piece here, that's what keeps the bucket level. Now what this means is that as you raise the boom, the bucket will remain at the same level. Same way with the forks, any attachment you put on the front, it does not move as you go up and down. A non-self-leveling loader, if you have a bucket on like this, as you raise it, it stays in the same position relative to the boom. By going all the way back here to the mast and having these pieces here, that's how they can keep it self-leveling. So it really is mechanically self-leveled. What you're going to find is that they have a higher lift capacity. I'm not sure I understand the geometry well enough to understand why it's a higher lift capacity, but it is, and it's that way in essentially every self-leveling loader that you see. When there's a comparison between the non-self-leveling and the MSL version, you're going to see that the MSL has more. Same is true on our 5075E and that 520 loader that we have on it. Yeah, the self-leveling lifts a lot more. Before we get any further into details, I want to mention that a self-leveling loader is considered a safer approach than a non-self-leveling loader. By that bucket staying at the same angle, or the fork staying at the same angle as you lift, you won't have near as much risk of something coming back on you. So many times if you go into a pile of dirt with a bucket and you bring it up like this, you might think everything is going well, and then you raise it the rest of the way up and you might have a big clod of dirt, or maybe even worse, a log roll back on you. We've seen that in some photos online. People have had big logs roll right down and hurt them. In fact, in Australia, it's a law that all loaders have to be self-leveling. I've got some photos of an Australian loader made by a third party, because Deere didn't make a mechanically self-leveling loader until now. And so there is some third-party loaders that do that in Australia. None of them were available here in the USA. But it is interesting that Australia has made that a rule. Until now, Deere had a hydraulically self-leveling approach, some sort of attachment on the side that forced the hydraulics to keep it level as it raised up. It didn't go over so well as compared to the aftermarket loaders, so a lot of the folks in Australia used these third-party loaders. Okay, let's start looking at the details. One thing I noticed right off, and I had to measure to make sure, but the cylinders on the dump curl cylinders appear to be shorter on the self-leveling loader as compared to the non-self-leveling. Now I'll just kind of choose a measurement here. I'm going to the center of the pin, and that's 20 inches. You know, probably I'm guessing a 16 or 17 inch stroke. And on the other loader, the non-self-leveling, it's 21 inches for that same measurement. So about an inch longer stroke. I think that's going to be relevant, but we may have to wait till next episode to see that. One of the first questions I see online is, will there be an upgrade kit so that I can transform my non-self-leveling loader into a self-leveling loader? I'm guessing there will not be an upgrade kit, and let's see why here. These masts are different. This mast The bottom two pins appear to be similar, but there's a major piece that's been essentially added on up here at the top to connect this top beam. Oh, by the way, this hook here comes from boltonhooks.com, and we have a new coupon code, TTWT, at boltonhooks.com. This one has a kind of a lining, like a truck bed liner finish on it. I really like that. If you'd prefer a green one or one that's just been powder coated, you can get the very same hook from mudscustoms.com. And again, we have a 5% discount with coupon code TTWT. I'm going to move that over to the MSL at some point. The hole is still there. I think everything's going to work fine on that. So we see several differences. The mast is a different height. The dump and curl cylinder is a different length. We've got these additional beams. We have all of this that's additional. We also see that the bottom half of the boom here, the forward half of the boom, is made differently. There's a cross pipe on each one, but it's positioned at a different location. On the non-self-leveling loader, it's closer to the bucket. On the self-leveling loader, it's been moved up this direction. I've moved my Artillian splitter here. This is a part of the Artillian Grapple. If you have two clamps, you need to have two sets of fittings here. It looks a lot fancier than it really is. It's just a splitter. I've also put this hardline kit on, moved it from the other loader. That all went okay. The hardline kit appears to fit either loader. I don't know if there's a separate part number. I don't know if I got mine fitting perfectly, but I did get the hardline kit to fit. Now, one thing I noticed when I put this Artillian splitter here, something I've been hoping for years, this is steel. On the non-self-leveling loader and all the way back to the H120, it was a piece of plastic here. I really like this piece of steel. It's got a flat side on it. This allows me to clamp my splitter here just the way I need it. One thing I am a little concerned about, I haven't evaluated if I have enough room for everything in here. With this pipe being further up, I'm a little concerned that this may hit or be in, near the brush guard on the tractor. So we'll try that out. Now you may notice that these hard lines behind the third function kit and back here are bent a little bit. I made a mistake before I'd ever even used this loader to engage any dirt at all. It had nothing to do with the loader, had nothing to do with anything done wrong here, and I'm not even going to go into detail because it's so bizarre what I did. So, but yeah, I did that. It's frustrating. Hadn't even used the loader yet. I was a little surprised at this one. These JDQA brackets are not the same ones used in the non-self-leveling version. Maybe they had to move the pin a little bit. I don't really know, but it's they're bigger. They seem to be wider. They seem to be built bigger overall. Perhaps they're being shared across multiple loader lines at this point. But they are different than on the non-self-leveling loader. What I see is that the loader pin is further from the edge of the bucket with these newer ones. I suspect we needed that change to be able to keep it level, the geometry portion of it, but it is further away, and maybe that's why they built it a little bit tougher. So one of the tips we've shared before, and we want to share again, is when you're detaching the loader, after you get these all detached, you raise the loader up out of the pin, and eventually these will fall back down on their own. So you fold them up, then they'll fall back down on their own, they'll spring back down. At that point, there won't be any pressure on the boom lift cylinders. So you can shut your tractor off, then you can release all the pressure and everything's fine. I read the manual, at least this section of the manual, and even on the self-leveling loader, it says to do exactly the same thing. However, my experience is different. I go up until it falls, it springs down, but then when I shut the tractor off and release the pressure, the boom wants to come back down. So, yeah, maybe I need to read in more detail, maybe there's something different, but so far I haven't figured out how to take the pressure off of the boom lines. Now, if you'll get the single point connector, yeah, it's another $634.70 if you use coupon code TTWT for free shipping at greenpartsstore.com. Oh, there I go again. You won't need to worry so much about the pressure with the single point. If you don't have the single point, it can be a major issue if you can't release the pressure. So I may have to dig into that a little bit more. I'll get some more experience through these next couple of episodes and share that with you. When I first saw this loader announced, I was incredibly excited. I assumed that in just a few months we would have dealers' lots just stacked with the non-self-leveling loaders where people had just decided to trade for them. A little bit more look at this, and I'm not sure that's the case. You'll have to stay tuned for some of the next episodes to see that. Just kind of leave you with that hook. I think there's going to be a real decision you're going to need to make. Now, before I let you go, talk a little about cost. About $580 extra. That's suggested retail price for the mechanical self-leveling version. Quite frankly, that doesn't seem like a lot to me, given how much more steel we see, right? And more capacity. From a value standpoint, I don't see any problem there at all. Of course, everybody's situation is going to be different. Availability, they're starting to become available now. I think this was one of the first ones, and I'm hearing online that several other people are getting them in now. So if you have not yet ordered your 1 Series or 2025R, you can order this now and you'll be able to get it. I don't think they're shipping them together out of the factory. That's a detail. But you can get the self-leveling loader now or within the next few weeks with no issue. We're going to have 2 more episodes, we hope, one with lift capacity. Thanks for all the responses, volunteering to help with carrying the weights. We got a guy on the way. He'll probably be here within a few minutes to help with that. And I mean, the outpouring is just amazing, as it always is. I mean, we must have the best viewers anywhere. This has just been an amazing run for us, and we just thank you guys for that. You guys are great. Then we'll have some real use. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. In this episode, we're going to look at some of the physical differences between the loaders and address some of the basic questions, costs, stuff like that. Haven't said that. Sorry. Hadn't said that in a long time.
Yeah.
It wasn't things like that, it was stuff like that this time.